Hey y'all, happy Friday. Listen, all right, let's just cut to the chase. I need all my Africans, whether you are Nigerian, Ghanaian, Senegalese, Eritrean, Ethiopian, Egyptian, all of y'all to the front of the congregation. I also need all the Caribbeans, Haitian, Jamaican, Trinidadian, Dominican, St. Lucian, Martinican, Dominican, Bahamian, Bayesian. Please come to the front of the congregation. I also need all my African Americans come to the front of the congregation. I also need, again, for the second time this week, all of my healthcare workers, allied health, nurses, doctors, technicians, technologists, scientists, respiratory therapists, pharmacists, all of y'all, all of us together come to the front of the congregation. Now, I'm at a loss for words, y'all. Watch this video. Let's watch together. Damn.
We stay in here. Stay right here. We stay right here. We are right here. Prostitute. Okay. You see who you dealing with. Who you dealing with? Huh? Look at you with your ugly ass. Take your ass back to Africa, Spain, wherever the fuck is. Get your ass back to the slavery. With your ugly ass. You get out of the boat, you ugly slave. Talking about. You talking about a prostitute, bitch. You want some motherfucking booties with some motherfucking with some tap dance shoes. You are a slave. Get the fuck out of my place. You are a slave. Look at you, a dog. A dog, you living on kiosks, living on people's stocks money and coming here and giving you. Man. Get your ass out and go get yourself a job. You bitch. All of you guys, you are a bitch, okay? You bitch. Yeah. Yeah. Get out. Get out. Get out of my place. I'm not gonna get you nothing you want, okay? No job, okay? Go ahead and coming here and harassing people. You asshole. I'm supposed to know Google. Oh yeah. You are on kiosks. Who knows what the heck you doing? Yeah, you right. You right. You right. You right. You are a Negro. Look at you. You right. People ask you right. Look at you. You right. Go get your ass and get yourself a job. You right. Hold on now, babe. I'm waiting.
Oh my God. Okay, now we see videos all the time. We don't know the backstory. And what have I told you guys time and time again? I am a researcher by nature. So we will get to the bottom of this, and we need to have a hard conversation. What have I told you guys before? I'm a straight shooter. I tell the truth. I hate lies. I hate beating around the bush. I like to keep it real. And that's what we are doing on this channel. We keep it real. We have tough, uncomfortable conversations. Okay? Now, let's get to the bottom of it. So, that medical professional you saw in the video going off on who are her patients. Yes, those are her patients. Her name is Adama, Adama Nuhu Diallo. At first, I thought she was Ethiopian, but I was reading various comments and they're saying she's West African. Okay. So she is not an MD like you see in this picture. She is a nurse practitioner. But the thing is, with many providers, be it APRN, NP, PAs, they have an NPI number. Okay, doctors and higher level nurses and PAs and even licensed clinical social workers all have NPI numbers where they can prescribe medication. It's just to identify them too, for also for billing purposes, for billing Medicare. So you're identified, you have an NPI number. So she's not a doctor, she is a NP. So she's considered a provider. And she works at, I think, some clinic, right? In does it say where? I want to say Ohio, I saw. And it's a substance abuse clinic, right? And so it's a substance abuse clinic. So I'm not surprised that you would have patients trying to get you to prescribe them medication. That happens all the time. Even in the emergency room at hospitals, you have drug addicts who are addicted to painkillers and more. They always come to the emergency room. They'll go to clinics trying to get more prescription medication to, to feed their high. They're sick. It's a sickness. Addiction is a sickness, okay? Well, this is what, in my research, what happened. So they were trying to get medication or prescription or what have you, drugs. She denied them. So as she denied them, they began to berate her, right? They began to berate her. And this happens a lot to medical professionals. Where I work too, there's been several instances where nurses have been spat on, have been stabbed, have had fecal matter thrown at them. Nurses have been punched in the face. Doctors have been attacked, verbally and physically. It's not a new thing, especially when you're dealing with a sick population, to be attacked. That's why my ass, I don't do face-to-face patient care. Been there, done that. In my rotation when I did my clinicals, I had to go and draw blood, and I said, this shit ain't for me. Some people, I just can't. I rather do my experiments in the laboratory. I'm a scientist. That's where I stay. I'll tell you what you got. I'll tell the doctor, hey, this person has cancer. This person has Epstein-Barr virus. This person has an STD. Let my ass stay in the laboratory. I'm not dealing with patients. And a lot of us are like that. We love healthcare. We love to care for people, but we rather stay behind the scenes. You know why? Because I know my mouth. I know my mouth. I'm not taking shit, no pun intended, from no patient. Some people, we just can't. But I rather provide care in an indirect way. And the beauty with healthcare is that there are so many disciplines that you can work in. And I know I've gone over this many times. I actually just did a tour of my department for some high schoolers. They had no idea that there were other professions in healthcare beyond a nurse and a doctor and, pharmacy. There's a myriad. Again, nuclear technologist, x-ray. There's just so much to do, okay? And I'm happy that I was lucky enough to fall into my profession because I could never do it. I could never do it. I love patients, I love helping people, but the face to face, I'm not doing it, all right? So you have to go into the medical profession prepared for instances like this, where you have patients, especially some populations like addicted people that are sick. They will try to lie. They will try to I see it all the time. And sadly, this is so sad. I hate it. It happens to Black people a lot, where you have, and this is where medical racism comes into play, where you have medical professionals not believing certain groups when they complain or they come in sick because they've seen so much of other addicts and come in trying to score, right? Trying to get a prescription. But that's a whole listen, that's a whole other story. And there's no excuse at all for medical racism, because you have populations like sickle cell patients who, when they're in crises, they are in a lot of pain. They are in so much pain. Sadly, some are not in pain, but they come in acting like they're in pain to get prescribed painkillers. Listen, it's a very messy field, healthcare. And so many times I can see if someone's in crisis because I'm reviewing that, so what I do is we make slides. We can see the red cells. Sickle cell people suffer because their red cells are distorted, they're misshapen. When your red cells are not the right shape, the normal shape, round, they're shaped like sickle, they get clogged in your veins, in your vascular system, in your joints. That causes pain. But sickle cell people don't always have that sickle shape. It depends. Sometimes they turn sickle, sometimes they go back to regular shape. Sometimes there's not a lot of them circulating. It depends. That's why if I see one, I know that person may be in pain. If I see one, I just call it. I'll just say I do see sickle, to get the person, the help they need. Because a lot of these, racist medical professionals, they'll let that person writhe around in pain because they think that they're trying to get painkillers. And there are people who are really in pain, and you have racist medical professionals just deny them painkillers. That's a whole other story for a whole other day. Let's get back to Miss Adama, okay? So she works at a clinic. She's probably dealing with people who are trying to get prescriptions. Some people get prescriptions and sell it. They will try to sell. A lot of people do that. They sell prescription meds. So what I read is they started calling her names. And then once she started clapping back at them, that's when they started recording. We don't know what happened before this. We caught this in the middle of it, right? So that's one thing to take into consideration. A lot of these videos we're watching, we're not seeing what ignited it. We're seeing it at the height, right? We're seeing it at the height of the conflict and the aftermath. We never see what happened before. However, I'm not taking up for Adama because, again, you need to go into healthcare. We're supposed to, unbiased and prepared, sometimes to be spoken to in an ill manner. We may be attacked verbally and, sadly, sometimes physically. One patient told me, "Get the fuck out of here." Listen, I've been cursed out. I was like 21, 22. I said, "Oh, hell no. I'm not doing it. I've been cussed out. It only took me one time." I said, "Listen, that won't be me, because I will curse a patient out. I don't want to do that." But some of us, and at that time I wasn't mature. But I think now I would not curse a patient out. No, I was like 21, 22. I wouldn't do that. However, we have in the healthcare field, there are standards that we have to uphold. Because as a medical professional, you are in your right mind. You are, so to speak, the bigger person. You are the one providing care. You are the one who these people are at your mercy. So no matter what a patient says, you cannot listen. When I tell you I was shocked when I saw this video, because not only is she stooping to the level of the patient, she's also regurgitating. She obviously is an immigrant. She is regurgitating the racist narratives that are spoken on Black Americans. And that's why I called all the Caribbean people and all of the African diaspora to the front of the congregation and to the front of this conversation. Because how long are we going to keep up this fight? This fight between immigrants and ADOS, this war between the diasporas. How long are we going to keep this going? Because you know what it is? It's divide and conquer, courtesy of white supremacy. My African brothers and sisters, you are coming here and you are perpetuating the racist narratives conjured up by the racist whites and white supremacy. You're part of the upholding of white supremacy. I hate to break it to you, but that's what she did in this video. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I keep it real on this channel. I've heard these narratives growing up. I'm Caribbean. I am Caribbean. I've heard these my whole life. Everything she said, and it's all the same song. And I just can't believe that 2024, we're still playing and singing the same songs. I've heard this shit back in the 80s. Here we are, still regurgitating the same white supremacist talking points. What did she say? She said towards the African Americans, you're living off the government, taxes, you're tax-free, whatever. I've heard that over and over again. Why? Again, I'm going to keep it real, y'all. Listen, y'all can hate me, y'all can love me. I keep it real no matter what. Let's have a real conversation, because nothing's going to change if we do not all sit down and have a conversation. Immigrants come here with nothing many times. And yes, they do work hard. They will take the shittiest of jobs, number one. Number two, immigrants come and they land sometimes often in the ghetto, because it's very rare that immigrants will land in the suburbs. Very rare. Only the well-to-do immigrants may wind up on the better side of town. Most of the time, they end up in the hood, because the hood is cheap to live in, or they have family members here already living in the hood because they're trying to get themselves established, right? So what's in the hood, y'all? What's in the hood? Hood people. So what do you see going on in the hood with hood people? You'll see a lot of minorities. It's not just Black people in the hood. You have poor whites in the hood. You have Hispanics. I've seen, listen, okay, I'll tell you a story. Where I grew up, it was hood adjacent. It wasn't like the hoodest of the hoods, because there was another part of town where it was the hood. My parents would not step foot. They wouldn't be caught dead. That place it was bad. It was shitty. It was so bad. Like, I don't remember ever stepping foot there. It was bad. Where I lived, it was a building. It was a co-op building. And there were, yes, majority Black people, but I want to say a lot of the Black people, from what I remember, were like middle-class Black people. They were educated. It was just, it was like, like a kind of like a hood area where down the street was the hood housing. But it wasn't, where I lived was not housing. It was just an apartment building. It was a co-op. They would have monthly meetings. They had a board. What else? There was no welfare. My parents weren't on welfare. I don't think our neighbors were on welfare. I think we were the only Haitians in the building besides my cousin. I know some of my African-American neighbors were on food stamps, I remember. And I remember they offered my parents something. Oh, do you want to share or whatever? And, I didn't know what it was. Later on, I found out it was food stamps, WIC, stuff like that. but it wasn't all that hood. The people were well to do. Preachers lived there, Hispanic people lived in the building, and even an Indian couple lived in my building, and they owned a store downtown. I remember that. They were very nice people, owned a store. So it was like middle, not upper middle, it was kind of like a middle class setting, mixed. Down the street was hood, like ghetto. Ghetto. And there were some whites there. Very few, but there were whites. There was Hispanic people, it was majority black people. What was going on there? Drugs being sold. That's why we were never allowed to step foot there. Lots of what else? I remember they said there was like crack vials on the floor, some in elevators on that in that hood, stuff like that. Okay, so that's a small subset, right, of the Black American experience, right? Because you go into Appalachia, you have the same thing going on, except it's a lot of whites, poor whites. You have meth, what do you call that? Crystal meth, Mountain Dew. Let's talk about it. You have houses being blown up because of meth labs. I ain't never seen that in the hood. Every race and culture has their hood. What pisses me off is that the Black American small subset of the culture, which is the hood, the ghetto, basically is magnified, right? Magnified for the world to see. And so now other people in other cultures, in other countries, when they look at America, what do they see? They see the white part of town, tree lined suburbs with the nice, wholesome white family. When you talk about blacks, you see crack vials and the hood and baby mamas and pregnancy and teen pregnancy and drug selling and food stamps. And mind you, I went to CVS the other day, and there was a white guy there, and he was like, y'all accept EBT? And it was a white guy. I was like, oh shit. Wow, okay. White guy, you would never guess it. And I heard him ask the clerk, y'all accept EBT? I said, well, ain't that a bitch? Me, I wouldn't even know how to go about getting EBT. And I said one day, maybe I should go try. Somebody's like, you don't even, bitch, you don't qualify. Don't even think about it. So there's that. But the thing is, the Black community in the United States is being painted with one big old ghetto hood brush, and it's unfair. It's not right. Furthermore, we have these immigrants who, yes, live in these hoods, thinking that all Black Americans are like this. And yes, I get it. You come and that's what you see, right? You come here, that's what you see. But the thing is, the thing that I have an issue with is most of us, many immigrants work their way and claw their way out of the hood. A lot of us, we don't stay in the hood. My parents, after a while, they bought a house. We were out of there. But when I moved to the suburbs, yes, mostly white, because I live in a fairly mixed white, like mostly white state. But there were Black people in the suburbs too. There are Black people in the suburbs too, y'all, and many well-to-do. So why is it, Amada, what's her name? Adama, that you're spewing? And I don't know if she knows these people personally. Maybe that's why she's spewing this just racist, white supremacist rhetoric. She said, you're living off the government. What else did she say? Let's listen to what Miss Adama said. Then she called him a prostitute. which is another, oh my God, I just hate that talking point because it goes back to slavery. It goes back to slavery. Let's hear what she said.
You're right. People ask, look at you. You're right. Go get your ass and get yourself a job. You're right.
Get yourself a job. Trying to
Oh,
say they're
ugly ass.
unemployed. Another talking point.
Ugly
Fuck,
slave.
talking about you talking about a prostitute, bitch. You got
Slave.
some motherfucking footies with some
You are a
motherfucking
slave.
some
You
tap
are a
dance
fucking
shoes.
slave. You
Get
are
the
a
fuck
slave.
up.
Get the fuck out of my place. You
You
are
a-
a slave.
you
Look
a
at you, a
slave.
dog. A dog, you living on kiosks, living on people's tax money and coming here and giving
You
people.
man.
Get your ass out and go get yourself
Your
a job.
boy-headed ass.
You bitch.
You
All
bitch.
of you guys, you are a bitch,
You
okay?
bitch.
Yeah.
All of you guys,
Yeah.
So sad. So this is the disconnect. So yes, a lot of African Americans make fun of how we dress when immigrants come to the country. They were making fun of her shoes, making fun of her accent. You beach, did you hear that? But my thing is, not all African Americans think of immigrants like that. You have ignorant people in all classes. Yes, you have some of the hood and listen, African American, you know this too, because some of y'all can't stand them either. You have some ignorant Black folk, uneducated, ignorant Black folk. Yes, that only care about certain things. They only care about having a good time. They only care about, selling drugs, smoking weed, whatever. Every race has that. Everybody. So I'm not going to sit there and say and condemn all African Americans because it's only a small subsect because not all African Americans act like that. Right? So they were making fun of her accent and her shoes. But then she goes and calls them a slave. Now, this is where the major contention is between African Americans, Caribbeans, and Africans. Now, Africans believe that they have a homeland. They're not products of slavery. They're not descendants of slaves. So it is believed that Africans from the continent believe that they are above us. And I say us because many times Haitians, listen, Haitians, we are the closest thing outside of Africa. Like, we are not as mixed, right? We haven't been diluted or polluted with white blood as much. And when I say polluted, not to denigrate the white race, I say polluted because we are mixed by force. It's rape. It's because of rape. That's why I say polluted and diluted. We are not as much for the most part. So there is this belief that, oh, Africans, they favor Haitians, we're more similar to them. But I say to my African brothers and sisters, I'm still a descendant of slavery. I'm still a descendant of slavery. We won our independence by force on our own. I still am a descendant of slavery. I still have European ancestry. So when you say you slave to African Americans, you're talking to all of not just African Americans. You're talking to all of the Caribbeans, African Americans, anybody outside of Africa who we are victims of the slave trade. You're calling us slaves. There's a word, akata, that Africans, like I think Nigerians and Ghanaians use. Basically, it means what I've read and heard, they use it to describe someone without a home. It's like, I can't explain. I know. Okay, so basically for Haitians, and we have a lot of similarities to Africans. Yes, we say "Uku on chien qui pa gen met." That means like it's like you're a dog with no owner. Ou on chien qui pa gen met. That means like you have no. It's like you have no reason. Your being is you. It's like you have no culture. You have nothing. You don't have an owner. There's nothing to you. And when she said dog, did y'all hear her call him a dog? She said slave and dog. That's what she meant. We have the same saying. Basically, you're a slave, you're a akata, you're a wild animal. And that's hurtful. I don't care how early we won our independence. I don't care. I'm still a descendant of slaves. But Caribbeans also, here's another issue. Caribbeans also think too, because I've heard these white supremacist talking points assigned to Black Americans. Caribbeans think we're better than African Americans when we were just a different drop off. We were on the same slave ships. We were on the same ships, y'all. And you know what's funny? Take an ancestry test. I have countless of cousins from fucking, like, I have a cousin that's from the South, was it the Carolinas? From the was that low country, y'all? Somebody help me out, from the Carolinas. I've discovered I have so many African American close cousins from like the Carolinas, more towards the South. And what I know, again, I'm a researcher, these are Gullah Geechee folk. And Gullah Geechees too have a strong connection to Africa. They were like sequestered. So they too have a strong connection to their African ancestry, and they kept a lot of it. So I wouldn't say I'm close to Africans more so. I would say I'm more closer to Gullah Geechee people, Bahamian people. Gullah Geechee people sound like Bahamian people. And I have a lot of Louisiana people folk as cousins. Do y'all ancestry, y'all. Do it. You'll find out a lot of information. But I was just disappointed because white supremacists are going to look at this video and they're gonna say, look at them. Look at all them niggers. Look at all of them. Like we look so stupid. None of us is above the other at all. They're looking at us they're just laughing at us. You know why? Because like I said in another video before, you never see the Greeks and the Sicilians and the Italians, which all was one region. All of Greeks, listen, that area, that Mediterranean area, the Greeks, Sicilian, Italy, they all descend from around the same people. They've just been separated. They've had war too. They've had conflict. Albania. I think Greece was what once called Anatolia or something like that. They've had conflict, but they all are Hellenistic. They all descend from the same forefathers. That's why I always say history and research is important, but we never see infighting like this amongst them. They stick together. You know why? Because there's power in numbers. And when they came here, they were treated like dogs as well, Irish and Greeks and Italians. But when they got with the program, with the white supremacy, and they turned on us, they were then allowed to call themselves white. See, they were tested. They were tested. Their allegiance was to white supremacy because they said, we need to rock with them. We need to rock with them because there's power in numbers. And that is where now we have it, the white population. Because the white population in the United States comprises of all these people. Albanians are white. Even Egyptians from North Africa are considered white. And that's in their census. Yes, it counts. That's why you have quote unquote 13%, but you have 70% white, because all of them knew, listen, it's a game and we are failing at this game. We're playing jacks and checkers. These people are fucking playing chess and they rule the country. All them people are all one. You never, if there is infighting, it's not put on front and center stage like it is here with Miss Amada. And a lot of them, they're immigrants. Italians were still immigrating as 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, immigrating to United States. They got on the right side. You don't hear this all this bullshit. You don't hear that shit. Governor Cuomo, the father, the racism was so bad against Italians in the 50s and the 60s. He graduated law school and he went to interview for a job after law school. He was turned down by 11 law firms because he was Italian. They were considered Black, Guinea, Negroid because, yes, they're more darker skinned. They're Mediterranean, but then they're all together. They banded together. They said, nah, we got to join the other side. Look at him now. He became governor. There's a bridge named after him. The tap, I will always call it. Where my New Yorkers at? Where my New Yorkers at? Y'all may call it the Governor Cuomo Bridge. It will always be the Tappan Zee Bridge to me. But look at that. From being denied 11 jobs to having a bridge named after you. But 2024, we have Miss Adama Nuhu Diallo. These are your patients. You're not the same. These are sick people, whatever have you, whatever it is. Okay, let's say they were ignorant towards you. You cannot, listen, what I've learned to in my life, I will never stoop down to the level of ignorant people. The Bible says a fool, what was it? A fool argues. If you argue with a fool from afar, people who see you guys arguing from afar, they basically won't know who's right, who's wrong. You just see two fools arguing. And this is what I see here. Two fools arguing. I got to find that Bible verse for y'all. And to spew, oh my God, that was terrible. Terrible. It may be directed to them. She may come out and say, no, it was towards them. But no, ma'am, that is what you think about Black Americans. And I know it because I'm Caribbean and this is what I've heard all the time. And I know for a fact, especially when I got to college, not all African Americans behave like that or are ignorant. Black Americans have gone through so much in this country. Actually, listen, if you really want to take it there, what we think Caribbean, what we think is proper and prim and what you should act like, that's what African Americans were in this country, 1920s, after slavery. African Americans were well-to-do. African Americans were the ideal of the nuclear family, prim and proper, education at the forefront, an intact family unit. And all of that goes back to our upbringing in Africa, the family unit. We were clean. We know how to do hair, know how to cook. That's why they were hiring African Americans. Listen, African American ladies were breastfeeding little white babies, cleaning their households. Because we know how to do it better. Even though the white supremacists don't want to admit it, we know how to take care of home the best. Just like in the movie The Help, right? What happened to the African American in this country? We know it. The introduction of drugs, redlining, sequestering them into low income poverty area, making it impossible for them to get ahead. Because why? Jim Crow said, absolutely not. You will not succeed. You will not rise above. You will not rise above us. So the white supremacists enacted laws, enacted various statutes to disable the African American from succeeding. We have to know that as immigrants. It was a calculated, concerted effort to bring down a group of people trying to work their way up, and they did successfully from slavery. And then usher in the crack epidemic that was done on purpose. We need to understand that. But you know what? A lot of immigrants, it's not their fault. When they got here, a lot of them, the influx of immigrants, especially from the Caribbean, 60s, 70s, 80s, they came here, they're watching TV, they're seeing, first of all, you're hearing the rap music, glorifying, actually, a lot of it glorifying the hood. And then you're in the hood as an immigrant and you're seeing it, but that's all you see. So they don't know the history behind it. A lot of immigrants don't know Jim Crow. They have no idea about Jim Crow and redlining and just roadblocks to stunt the growth. They don't know. I've actually had to educate my parents many times on the civil rights. A lot of immigrants, they don't know what the fuck civil rights was. They have no idea. But the thing is, too, they don't realize that if it weren't because of the civil rights, we wouldn't have been able to freely come to this country as well. Not at all. Not at all. So what she did was wrong. That was terrible. You are a health professional, healthcare professional. You are to serve your population. Yes, they were going in on you. But you have to understand these people, if what I read is correct, that they were trying to like score drugs and get a prescription from her under false pretenses, they're sick. Or they may be trying to sell drugs, sell prescription, and they started going in on her. That's what I heard. They really started to like get on her and she clapped back. But now, ma'am, we only see one side. You are all over the internet. Now there are people going after her license. I don't think that will do anything because, they're going to launch a full investigation, but it just looks terrible. The optics are terrible. And it's adding gasoline to the diasporic fire, the war, the diasporic war we have, the infighting we have. She just poured gasoline all over it. You can think it. And a lot of immigrants think this way. But to spew it, especially when you are in a position of authority, no. I'm sorry, Adama. I'm sorry. That was wrong. And another thing, to my Caribbeans and Africans, we think we're above and we're more educated. Mind you, there are many educated, highly educated African Americans. But a lot of us think we're above. So let me ask you this question. All those people that have been killed by the police, all the Black people that have been killed by the police, are they only African American? And no Caribbeans, no Africans? False. There have been Africans killed by police. There have been Caribbeans killed or assaulted by police. You know what's funny? Her last name is Diallo. Y'all don't remember Amada Diallo? Okay, for those who don't know, do y'all remember Amada Diallo? Let me pull up and we'll talk about what happened. And that's funny because that's her last name. Mrs. Diallo, let's talk about what happened to Amada Diallo. You know what I find funny? Her name is Amada Diallo. Now we're talking about Amada Diallo. So Amada, for those who don't know, he was Ghanaian student. This happened, I remember this. I was in high school, 1999. Unarmed 23-year-old was fired upon, 41 shots, y'all. by the New York City Police Department. They claim to have suspected him as a rape suspect. He was shot 41 times. Y'all see that? He was part of a historic Fulbe trading family in Guinea. So it says historic Fulbe. So that means he comes from a well-respected family. If they're saying trading, he comes from a well-respected tribe. He was born in Liberia. His father was working there and grew up in Togo, Singapore, and Thailand, and back to Guinea. So he's also well-traveled. See that? So now, he comes from an accomplished, well-to-do family, and he's well-traveled as well. And he was shot upon 41 times, and he was struck 19 times. You see that? And, I remember too, and it says it here, he was trying to pull his wallet out, I guess, to get his ID. And they thought, I guess it was you know what it is? They thought it was a weapon. So now, are we above African Americans as Caribbeans and Africans? No, we're not. So that's on the African side. Now, which Caribbean that I know was assaulted, almost killed by police? A fellow Haitian of mine, Abner Louima. Yep. So Abner Louima, and I remember when this happened, he was sexually assaulted. I'm not going to discuss all the details of the case, but it was gruesome and brutal what those cops did to him. And what happened? He had been trained as an electrical engineer in Haiti. We can read here. See? Read along. I don't even want to say anything, but there are sexual organs involved. Kicked. See that? Y'all see that? Follow along. And he was cuffed while they did this. And look what happened here, what they did with a broomstick. And then the cops went back to the precinct and said that they bragged he took a man down tonight, knocked his teeth out. Oh boy. So let me know what y'all think. This was a tough conversation. Very tough. But I don't know when we're going to band together. I don't know why we can't do like the Irish, like the British that came over, like the Scottish, like the Swiss, like the Greeks, Italians, Sicilians, Albanians. I don't know why. And we are bigger. Our diaspora is bigger than our white counterparts. Much bigger. We have the whole Caribbean. We have parts of South America. We have the whole of Africa. Why can't we band together and just be one? Black. Like our white counterparts have. They're white. They're just white. Why can't we just be black and not have this display of disharmony for the world to see? The white supremacists don't even have to do anything anymore. We're upholding it all on our own. We are. I read the other day somewhere, or I saw a video, and I'm trying to remember. Maybe if I can, I'll stick it in somewhere. Where these two guys, basically, they're Eritrean or Ethiopian. They don't consider themselves black, or they see themselves above West Africans because they're East African. They see themselves above West Africans. That's another thing. That's a problem. I don't see any other parts of Europe, East Europe versus West Europe, acting like they're better than the other side of Europe. Listen, I've heard, yes, I have many white friends, and listen, I've heard some ignorant stuff from them. I've heard Italians, oh, they're just that guinea. I've heard it before. I've heard them talk nasty about Albanians. I had my white neighbors once when I moved into my house. One side, I think he was Italian. The people who sold me my house, they were Jewish. That Italian neighbor was talking shit about the people who sold the Jewish people who sold me my house. They have their things. They have their little whatever. But when push comes to shove, oh, they're banding together. Oh, they're banding together. They're pushing all that shit to the side and banding together. Why can't we? I don't care about, oh, we better than this. We this, y'all hood, y'all this. Oh, y'all, oh, Haitians, Jamaica, y'all stink. Y'all that I've heard all of the y'all booty scratchers, but y'all on welfare. But are you fucking kidding me? That's why we'll never win. Look at what's going on with Kamala. She ain't Jamaican. She ain't that. She not that. Are you like, this is so bad. So bad. It's terrible. We got to do better. Let me know what you think. This was tough. It was embarrassing. I wonder, I will listen, we're going to keep following this to see what happens to her. I will follow this and I will make another video. I'm curious to see if she releases a statement. Let's talk about it. Please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, y'all. Let's just love each other and band together, y'all. Bye.